discuss what we talked about right before this? It's a secret.
Well, I don't have the script yet, though. Shoot.
Oh, I feel like
Was there a script?
Oh, dear.
Not for anybody
you.
but Amy. Not for you,
Oh,
my
thank God.
friend.
I was
No,
like,
it's just for me to.
I don't have a script. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know what to
It's like a
say.
meeting I didn't
Okay, I don't
prepare
have a
for.
Yes,
script.
it is, and
but-
you should have it memorized.
Professor, shut the fuck up.
Do you have it, Amy?
No.
Professor, you're going to have to get the fuck out if you're going to be loud.
I wish I could talk that way to my professor. Oh God, now Amy's
he's
frozen.
this-
Is it just me, or is she frozen?
Yeah, she's frozen. She was having
All
she
right.
was
She's
getting
definitely
choppy.
frozen.
Yeah.
Whew, okay, Mom and Dad, and our other viewer who might be Lucinda or possibly Jane. Welcome to Over the Ledge, the #1 and some say only political satire show based solely on the Texas Legislature. We've had quite a week. Sophia, why don't you fill us in on your day life?
Oh, sure. Well,
What is your
so-
day job?
Well, I'm a project manager. I work at Cisco, like SYSCO, not the other Cisco, not
Oh, okay.
CISCO. I have
Not
to
the
explain that
rapper?
every time. We use Cisco products at Cisco, but anyways, I'm a project manager. I work in like a tech company within Cisco. So what we do is we build the website for customers. So restaurants, if you don't know, are pretty antiquated in how they order things. Usually you have to go through like a sales rep to order the products that you need. But with the website that we have for Cisco that my company builds, customers can directly order what they want. And I know that sounds like, yeah, obviously, but like restaurants are so behind the times that is a novel thing. So that's what I do 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
I am just picturing the office and ordering paper on the phone. And like that's the antiquated. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much. That's how well, I don't know how the competitors really do it, but we're ahead of the times at Cisco. I'll say that.
Wonderful. Okay, we got Amy back. So but we can't hear her. She's muted.
You're on mute.
You
All right,
muted
how about now?
yourself.
There you go.
Ooh, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay. Now we're good. And we have
Awesome.
3 viewers. That's pretty awesome. So,
Yay! All right, let's start. Welcome to season 4, episode 7 of Over the Ledge Live, the podcast, the #1 and some say only political satire show based solely on the Texas Legislature. I'm Amy Lowry, and I'm glad you're here. Over the Ledge gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the shenanigans of the Texas Legislature by decoding political headlines and legislators' behavior into easy-to-understand fortune-cooking sayings. Let's meet our guest tonight. First up, we have our beloved Aaron Salinas. Aaron is a writer, actor, director, and all-around fun guy between the hours of 8 and 9 Central Time. Is that AM or PM, Aaron? It doesn't say here.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He loves to
Depends
share
on
a
the day.
laugh with folks almost as much as he loves to share a meal with them. A native Texan with a penchant for good times and good barbecue. If you can't find Aaron on Over the Ledge, he's either at a storytelling show or playing with his sweet pup, Mango. And she'd love to meet you too. Welcome.
Yay.
Our next comedic guest
Okay,
tonight.
hold on.
Yay!
Let me solo layout, even though I've had quite an ordeal. There we go. Oh, I removed him from the whole stream.
I found a possum on my driveway, so that's my week.
All right. Okay, next.
Okay, our next comedic guest tonight is Sophia Spagnuolo. Sophia is from Ann Arbor, Michigan, but has been in Austin for over 5 years now. She likes to create YouTube videos about her latest jigsaw puzzle hauls, so be sure to tell your grandparents to like and subscribe. She is nice, polite, and likes to write, read, and perform comedy. Welcome, Sophia.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Our very special celebrity guest tonight is Kristen Ylana. Growing up in rural Texas taught her to appreciate the little things in life, find beauty in nature, and nurture her sense of adventure. She moved to Austin to attend the University of Texas at Austin, where she studied public relations and Mexican-American policy studies with a focus on the intersection of race and health policy. Kristen hopes to continue to dedicate her life to public service and will do her part to create a more equitable and just future for all Texans. When she is not working, Kristen enjoys spending time with her 3 dogs, Professor, Pantera, and Willie. Please welcome Kristen Ylana to the show. Welcome, Kristen.
Who was just playing with their dog toy?
That was Mango's butt.
Oh, that was Mango.
That was Mango.
Yeah.
And Kristen,
Yeah,
did you
Mango's
say
butt fell on it.
one of your dogs is Pantera?
Yes.
Like
She's a Christian rock
band? They're not Christian.
I don't think
I thought they were a Christian rock band. They're not?
No, they're a 80s metal band.
Are you
So
sure?
Kristen, I'm positive.
Amy, you were about to rock my world with that. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
I'm not sure I'm wrong about that.
Why don't you stick with it? So Kristen, I lived like 3 blocks away from Pantera in Arlington, Texas growing up. And I would ride my bike past their house and like, I didn't realize they were a rock band. I just knew they were weird guys outside the house, always smoking. And then only in like high school did a friend of mine be like, that's Pantera's house. So they know me. What I'm trying to say is they know me. They know me.
That is the most incredible thing I've ever heard.
Thank you.
She is actually the love of my life's dog, who I adopted. But he named her after Pantera, and we're gonna go see Pantera in August. But yeah,
ask them if they remember Stephanie.
Yeah, ask them if they remember me. I'll field her, and oh God, what was that other street? I'll find it on a map for you and give it.
That is so badass. That's so cool.
Thanks for thinking that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally, we have the creator and the ruler of the Over the Ledge Empire, who needs no introduction. Stephanie, dear God, I hope we pass some bills. Chiarello.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I am literally trying to find the monologue jokes for tonight, which I have not even looked at. And I want to thank all our watchers because you are in for a treat. I want to thank Sophia and Kristen. Don't worry, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be good. I have prided myself my whole life on pulling shit off. That is my middle name. I always pull it off. But today is an example of so far not pulling off this podcast. It's still a secret, but let's just take a moment for my
well, I have a little more to read
Pro.
Before
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we take a moment for my Surface Pro though? Dear Surface Pro, I am sorry that I did not treat you with more respect, and it was my fault, not yours. And I hope Adam, my IT guy, will repair you, and I learned my lesson. I'll never do it again. Thank you.
En el nombre del Padre y el Hijo y el Espíritu Santo.
Just a reminder, if you like what you're listening to, and I'm sure you do, you're in a position to help, please become a patron. Clearly, Stephanie needs it for her computer. At whatever level is meaningful to you. It helps us produce the podcast and promote our efforts. Freedom isn't free. It costs $1.05, or in our case, $5 a month would be super helpful. Thank you to our patrons who include Belinda, Deborah, Jennifer, Amelia, and Ross. Now it's time for What's Up in Texas with our host, Stephanie Chiarello. I think she's probably ready by now.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally ready. One great thing about this is that there are no FEC rules or who regulates yeah. All right. Guess what, guys? Governor Greg Abbott claims Biden's open border policies are to blame for finding 58 people hiding inside a smuggler's Penske truck. But if we truly had an open border, wouldn't those people proudly be driving through a beverage barn with the top down like the rest of us? I'll take one Let Freedom Ring slushie, please.
Austin doesn't have enough beverage barns. That is all that he told me, because they always fucking slap in a small town. Let me just say.
I moved here and we had like 4 beverage barns. Came here and I was like, I have to get out and like go inside.
What is this happening?
Oh, probably have to take a shower too. What is this, Austin?
I mean,
Unreal
at this rate,
expectations.
God.
Fellow Republicans are calling for Representative Brian Slayton to resign after his alleged affair with a 19-year-old intern. Slayton, also a youth pastor, said that just like Jesus, they really should have seen this coming. The Texas Senate passed a bill controlling... Oh, good. We're still going with that.
Was that real?
Yes. Oh, which part is which
The
part?
setup, the youth pastor intern.
Oh,
thing.
yes. All that is.
Oh, no, I meant the Jesus part.
Yeah. Was that an actual
We
quote?
know the youth pastor part is real.
It's not an actual quote, but the Rep Slayton having an affair and people calling on him not to do that. Yes.
Oh, God. That was good.
Okay, we should just end there. The Texas Senate passed a bill controlling what books school libraries can have on their shelves. Senator Angela Paxton called out several bad books, saying, quote, unquote, I cannot unsee what I saw. And that's saying something as the bride of Ken Paxton.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh! Woo! Oh, okay. I'm feeling
Back-to-back bangers.
so
Good for
much
you.
better right now. Thank Amy
Very
Kay.
good.
She wrote these. The GOP wants to end DEI, which is diversity, inclusion,
Equity.
and what's E? Equity.
Equity.
Thank you. At state universities, which will make it difficult to keep Texas schools competitive. Only UT is in the top 10 nationally, and Google search results show they're still trailing behind UTI in popularity. Woo! On fuego. The Texas Senate and House can't agree on what to do regarding Texas school teacher pay and private school vouchers. If only there was some public institution growing up where they could have learned to resolve their differences. I'm talking about the Chuck E. Cheese ball pit, of course, where everybody got their first UTI. Come on.
Okay. Oh, good.
The Senate passed a bill that would create a new fund for large water supply projects, including marine desalination. Personally, I prefer my semen salty.
Amy Kay did not write that.
Fuck yeah, she did. It's a
I thought that was a Stephanie joke.
It's like she knows my voice.
That was
It's like she knows me. Okay, Texans with Chinese heritage fear for their ability to buy land or stay in touch with family via social media as the Lege seeks to limit China's influence on both. If Greg Abbott is that scared of TikTok, he should stop watching all those chilling clips of Gwyneth Paltrow's ski trial. All right, we're going right away. Several staff of Rep. Jolanda Jones from Houston resigned, alleging the Democrats' hostile behavior at work, including yelling and demanding family favors. If they think that's a hostile work environment, they should see Thanksgiving at the Paxtons. Okay.
Wrong time to drink wine.
Okay, has anyone tried unplugging the legislature and plugging it back in? Or
That's what Greg Abbott's going to do when he brings us back for vouchers.
That's
Plug it back
no.
in.
I'm removing her from the stream. Removing. Okay. Texas lawmakers are looking to crack down on people who give alcohol to minors after Slayton was accused of having sex with an intern and drinking alcohol with her. I'm kidding. No, that had nothing to do with why they want to get rid of alcohol. Yeah. Said the elephant in the room. Maybe the alcohol wasn't the biggest problem in this situation. Okay. According to the Texas Tribune, State Senator Roland Gutierrez, a San Antonio Democrat, is likely to run against U.S. State Senator Ted Cruz in 2024. Gutierrez has our vote, but it's looking like it'll be a tough race against his real competition, candidate Jerry Mander.
That
Oh.
was good.
See,
Okay.
we need like radio buttons where it's like a Debbie Downer. Wah, wah. Like that'd have been perfect.
Okay, this week in response to allegations against a coworker, Rep. Briscoe Kane tweeted, "I am absolutely furious at a Republican who I believe to be a sexual predator, also known as Predator," and this is a real tweet, said, "Everyone, you're going to have to be more specific." Okay. All right.
Did he
I'll
really
try to
say
find.
Predator?
No, he said Predator. I'm really not winning today, Aaron.
No, it just sounds like an Applebee's Applebee's appetizer. Predator.
Okay, I think this is a pretty good. Okay, I think this is a good ending. Lawmakers are currently debating whether or not to legalize gambling in the state of Texas. In spite of their apparent comfort gambling with people's lives, studies show zero evidence that Texas legislators know when to hold them or when to fold them. But they do know when to have sex with their interns. One more. Representative Dan Crenshaw released a video boycotting Bud Light for their partnership with transgender actress Dylan Mulvaney. In the video, Crenshaw revealed a fridge full of Carbach Bill, which is owned by the same company as Bud Light. He's going to need a beer as soon as he gets that foot out of his mouth and that intern off his couch. Thank you very much. So, side note, for a second, the problem there, she's 19. It's the power struggle, right? It's that how can a 19-year-old really consent to a 52-year-old youth pastor? Right? What is consent?
Yeah.
That's okay.
The power dynamic is gross and overreaching and just not okay in any capacity.
Yeah,
and that's an intern too. That's
that power dynamic there.
I'll tell you what. How does that happen? I want to know how that happens. Like, does she lean in a little at a staff meeting? I don't know how to have an affair. That's what I'm.
Are we assuming she started it? Because that's assuming she.
I don't know. Or what is? I don't.
It's hard to imagine.
All right, get me out of here, Amy.
Okay, so that happened again. It's in the script. Okay, audience, let me tell you how this podcast works. Maybe. On tonight's episode, Aaron and Sophia are competing against each other for the coveted Most Knowledgeable Comedian in Austin award. This award is given to the comedian who knows the most about Texas politics according to the outcome of the games on our show. Stephanie, show the award.
Oh, fuck. I don't know where. Oh, here it is.
It's like clockwork. Look, you're going to want that, Sophia. See? Yep.
Look at it.
Wow.
In all its glory.
Whoever wins gets their picture taken with our special guest, Kristen Ylana, and she will post a picture on her social media announcing that the winning comedian is the most knowledgeable comedian in Austin. Stephanie, do we ask Kristen if she's okay with this?
I did not read the monologue before I read it, so no. No.
Okay, committee hearings have been underway in earnest for the last 3 weeks. Hearing bills that range from banning medical care for transgender youth to property labeling honey. Oh, that's still going on. That's right.
No,
honey.
that's last week's script, Amy.
Oh,
I didn't rewrite that part.
Okay, that's all right.
That's okay.
Has that been now that we reminded me about the honey? Did that get resolved though? Because that was a big deal our last podcast.
I don't know. It's still a pretty sticky situation.
Hey-o.
Good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you about our first game.
Okay.
It's called Athlete, Legislator, or Villain. Okay, so Amy, did you say the part they're going to compete against each other? Sophia and Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kristen, you get to be the phone a friend. They get 3 phone a friends.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, right. I didn't say that part yet.
And you can just answer for that. You don't have to be a clue. You're a literal phone a friend. You can tell them what's going on. Does that make sense, Sophia, since you are new? Okay. The first game is called Athlete, Legislator, or Villain. I'm going to read a name, and you're going to tell me if this person is a Texas legislator, a villain, which could be real villain or movie villain, or an athlete.
What if
And
it's a
do we-
legislator and a villain?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What if there are multiple?
Oh,
Extra points.
extra
Perfect.
points. Yeah, but legislator trumps villain.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay.
And
And we're
how do we do we raise our hand or do we just
No.
It's ping pong.
We
Oh,
ping
ping
pong.
pong.
And
Okay.
Sophia, you go first as our guest,
Okay.
our honored comedic guest. Okay. Legislator, villain, or athlete? Giovanni Capriglione.
legislator?
What made you say that?
Well, so my brother's name is Giovanni. And so I don't know. I feel like I would keep an eye out for like any villain or athlete maybe with that name. Maybe. I don't know. I just felt like maybe giving my brother some credit here, maybe the name would go well with the legislator.
Kristen?
Oh no, you're 100% right.
Yeah, you're right. Good job. Congratulations. Right out of the barrel there. Sophia with a 1. All right,
But
same question.
Also, it sounds like a pretty cool like tennis name. Like if like they'd probably have a mean swing. Is what I'm saying. It's a good tennis name.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. Okay, Aaron, I'm going to try to not throw you under the bus. As I
But
always
you're already
do.
laughing, so that doesn't fucking help, Stephanie. Like
Okay,
I have no
legislator,
faith in you now.
villain, athlete, Michael Hickston.
That's bullshit. That could be a baseball player from the 80s or a current legislator.
That's the point of the game.
Ah,
You can phone a friend. You can phone Kristen.
Chris, I only have 3 for 2 games.
That's true. You only have 3 phone a friends. Yeah.
Oh,
Kristen, do you feel confident? You're sending me mixed signals.
I mean, I can tell you what he's not.
He's
Which
not a
does not
legislator?
help you.
That is helpful. Michael, like, I'm sorry, but if Batman's going up against Michael Hickston, that sounds terrible. I hope that's not. But it could be a Bond villain. No,
I don't
not
think
weird
Stephanie
enough.
watches
I
Bond
mean,
movies.
but it does sound like more of an athlete name,
Like an 80s baseball player.
right?
Like,
Like
Getting
I've
in
read a
trouble
lot
for
of
spitting
comics.
dip on the field.
Never heard of a Michael Hickston.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you he's not one of the 182. So
All right, I'm going with the athlete.
You're right. It's a U.S. diver. Congratulations.
oh,
Oh, nice.
That's a
Okay.
deep cut.
That.
Get
That's
it?
right. You don't need to know.
deep cut.
Cut. Okay, Sophia, back to you. Norman Osborn.
Oh God.
You know this.
Do I?
Come on.
You.
Oh my gosh. I know this. Okay. So wait, it could be a
Villain?
Norman Oz.
Legislator.
You do know this. You
Oh my
do. You do.
I don't. But I have a 33% chance of getting it right.
Your spidey senses should be tingling. Come on.
They should.
Oh gosh. Well, okay, here's my logic behind it. With a name like Norman, was it Oswald? Osmond?
Born.
Osborn.
Osborn.
Norman Osborn, like the Noon. I don't know. There's lots of O's and N's. The name is kind of like repetitive. So it's almost like it's made up in my head, which is why I would say that that's a villain.
There you go.
Well done, Sophia. Yes, this is
Beautiful.
Green Goblin from the Spider-Man series.
Hence
Well,
my
Portrayed
weird,
by
like,
Aaron did say my spidey senses
He
should be
did.
tingling, which was also a tip of the hat, I felt. But
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You did great.
Portrayed by Willem Dafoe. I mean, come on. America's favorite creepy guy.
All right, Aaron, your choice is Dawn Buckingham. Dawn Buckingham. Oh,
Believe
crap.
that was
I withdraw.
What?
But he was the pitcher for the
Oh, because
Rangers.
they're no longer.
She's no longer a legislature. I'm
She's
sorry.
now your
Oh.
general land office.
That's
commissioner.
right.
Ooh.
Okay.
That was almost a trick question.
Tony Tinderholt.
Oh, that's
Tony.
a legislator.
Yes, it is.
You're right,
Tony
yeah,
Tinderholt is a
We've sung
legislator.
I
songs
don't-
about him.
Yes,
Could
we
not
have.
tell you about him, but
There
I know I
are!
about him. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Sophia, last one on this game.
Oh no. Okay,
A lot of pressure.
it is. A lot on the line.
English gardener. English gardener.
English gardener.
Yes, which is not like an adjective and then a noun. It is a person's name, or is it English gardener?
English gardener. Oh
Kind
gosh,
of
this
sounds
is
like
where.
a wrestler from the 80s.
Yeah, English. Somebody with the name English. That's like somebody's trying to get noticed. I don't think that that's a made up name per se. Maybe like a stage name, but like I don't think it's like a villain. I think English gardener. What kind of villain would that be? Like they're
What's the
just
spelling?
tearing up gardens. Like that doesn't make any. No, that wouldn't be a villain in my book.
I've soiled your petunias.
Oh, that's a good one. So I would say, oh, this is tough. It's a real name, but it belongs to English gardener. I mean, they would get ripped to shreds in a political campaign with that kind of name. So I'm gonna say it's an athlete.
How did you do that? You knew that English gardener was a U.S. athlete. I'm not sure about what he did. Or she, to be quite honest.
Maybe cricket
job.
or polo.
It definitely sounds like cricket or polo. Or curling. I kind of feel like that's a curler's name.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Curling.
Okay, Aaron, last one on this one. Eric Stevens. Eric Stevens.
Feels pretty generic. It could go a lot of different ways. Man, I'll be really disappointed if Stan Lee gave like Thanos' real name is Eric Stevens. Like that's like no offense to Stan, but it's a little lame. Kristen, you gave a head tilt. I feel like it's not a legislator. That was not my use.
No, it was not
A
your
question.
use.
That was just my resources. Thank you. I'll go with. God, I would be so pissed if it's a villain. I'll go with athlete.
It is Killmonger character from Black
Damn
Panther.
it!
What?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did not realize. Oh,
yeah.
and I love his character too. I just never realized he had a name.
Which character?
He had a
which
basic
character
name,
is
that's-
that?
I was gonna say what? Are we
Very
sure?
generic, boring.
Yeah. And
Eric
his
Stevens
cousin's name
is
is
Killmonger.
T'Challa. Yeah.
But now I want to know what Thanos' real name is. Right? What if it is like
Paul White, just some-
English gardener? Like, no, I am Thanos. Okay, Amy, how did our people do?
Sophia's ahead 3-2.
Oh,
Dang.
Eric Stevens. That would have got
Got
me
me.
too. Would have got me.
Dang.
okay.
Game number 2.
Game number 2. Surprise. Guess what game number 2 is? It's
Tweet or
called.
Twasn't.
I want it to be tweet or twasn't so bad, but Kristen doesn't tweet very good. Like, she no
I'm
good tweet.
I know
Yeah.
good tweet. No.
No
I know
good tweet. No good tweets. So we're going to make this one up on the spot based on an email that Kristen sent around earlier as executive director of the Women's Health Caucus.
When
And
did I
this is-
send this?
You sent this at 6:40 p.m. today with a weekly
Okay,
update.
I can remember this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm making it up on the spot. The question is going to be, is this a real bill? Okay. And do we think it's good or bad? So it's 2 parts. Or is it a fake bill? Okay. Which does mean I have to pull up my list of fake bills.
Oh.
She's just got one ready. She's just
I just,
in her
You
line
never-
of work. You never know when you're
you
gonna need
never
it.
know when you're going to need a bunch of fake bills. Okay. True or false? We're going to start there. True or false, and then good or bad. Okay. Sophia?
Okay.
There is a bill up in the Senate, House Bill. Hold on, I'm getting there. Senate Bill 763 by Middleton, which is relating to allowing public schools to employ or accept as volunteers chaplains to perform the duties of school counselors. True
Oh,
or
gross.
false? Chaplains? Did your
What's-
dog just fart in your face?
No,
Or no,
I'm just laughing
you're
how
upset
gross
about-
it is. I'm just
Yes, volunteer chaplains.
What's
to
a
perform-
chaplain?
Like a priest light.
Okay,
yeah.
Pastor.
Yeah.
They can do weddings and
I see. I'm gonna
The Coke
say
Zero of the clergy.
The who?
The Coke Zero of the clergy.
Oh my god. Yeah.
it's false.
Damn.
I'm sorry, that is a
have
real
better
bill,
No.
Sophia. It's
Girl, you
so
haven't lived
real.
in Texas long enough.
I was going to say 5 years, not like you'll.
Yeah.
That's very Texas kind of bill.
It is so real that it was placed. Oh, it's been placed on the intent calendar. I thought local and consent, but it's there. It's ready. It's ready.
It could go
It could
at
go.
this point.
I'm surprised it's not
Straight
already
to
a
the
bill, to
governor's
be
desk.
completely honest. Like,
What?
no, I was saying I'm surprised it's not already legal. Like, it's not already
Right?
allowed. Like, I'm sure it is. Like, they're just like, oh yeah, let Tom come do it, like, kind of thing.
Okay, Aaron, true or false? House Bill 2011 by Hernandez requiring any woman who uses a fertility app to upload that data to hhsc.gov at least once a month.
I know this was a Florida thing, I think. I'm not 100% if that was a Texas thing. Kristen's giving me a lot of messages, but they're not
Audience,
very clear.
She's staring at him. Her eyes are blinking. She frowned for a moment there. Now an intense, very intense stare.
So I'm going to go ahead and call on Kristen.
Ah!
I don't want it to be real, but it is, correct?
No. Oh.
Oh, it's
Also, Ana Hernandez is like super great and would never
oh.
do that.
Oh, that was the okay. Okay.
That
That
was
was-
your
okay,
clue
see-
by Hernandez. She wouldn't do that.
Shit.
My B.
Not AH.
Not AH. Not AH. No.
No.
Then that is a no.
Correct. I made that up while I stared over there and acted like I was reading it out of Kristen's.
Oh, look at
Email.
you. Look
Thank
at
you.
Some serious acting.
Thank you. Acting. Okay, back to you, Sophia. Is this a real bill or not? Providing paid. Okay, this is by House Bill 1580 by Metcalf, Hull. Those are 2 different people. Providing paid leave to certain state employees for the birth or adoption of a child.
I'm going to call on Kristen because I have 3 to use and
Brag about
I
it.
need to be strategic. So I'm going to call on Kristen.
That is indeed a bill that will be considered on the House floor next week on Monday. We're gonna get paid leave, y'all.
Yeah,
Hey.
but only for having children or
Yeah.
adopting them. Yes.
Yes. Only for recreation.
Only
Or
for. I want,
rich.
this big voucher debate, and I want a school voucher for all the tax dollars I ever paid because I didn't have kids. I want all that money back. That's what I want.
Yeah, what about that debate?
What about that for those of us who are putting money in for those stupid
Or
kids?
can I get a voucher for my dog? Because boarding them, that shit's expensive.
Yeah, it
You ain't
is.
lying.
Look, do you take it to a private? Maybe we need public boarding for animals now.
I will say, my partner made a really funny comparison. Apparently, my dogs go to private dog parks because we pay a monthly subscription that I would like a voucher for so that we can go to Neighbors. If you live in South Austin, Neighbors Dog Park and Cafe is literally heaven on earth for your dog.
That sounds awesome. I've never been there.
No, it's the best place ever. Okay. But when he compared it to a private school, I was like, maybe I am for vouchers then, because I would like a subsidy.
But
if you does get expensive for 3 dogs.
But then if you took all that money and gave it to you, then think about how horrible our dog parks would be because they wouldn't have enough money to keep them nice.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Okay, I want to focus on the way America has jumped the shark that we have a private dog park. All right, I drove by 8 tents on the side of the road today, but we have private dog parks.
I mean,
I
but
also want to
like
mention
they pick up the poop and like I can get a really good golden milk and like do some emails while my dogs play. And I don't see, and Professor, you would think this dog is smart. Dumb as rocks. This dog runs after cars like they're balls. And so public dog parks, dangerous. They don't have
you can't
fences.
take him to Zilker. That's my favorite. Zilker Park is the best.
Oh no.
But
He'll be
not
on
if your dog-
Mopac chasing a freaking car.
Is Professor named after Professor Longhair?
No, Professor is
musician?
named
Oh,
after the professor from Powerpuff Girls. The
Oh,
beloved
My
Cartoon
kids
Network
loved that.
Yes.
show. It was good.
TV show.
Yeah. Oh, I know it well.
oh, that's so cute.
Cute.
But that's why we go to private dog parks. Private school for dogs. My dogs don't go to public parks.
Serenity now. I broke my computer. Okay, whose turn is it, Aaron or Sophia?
It's Aaron's turn.
Aaron. Okay. Senate Bill 595 would require parental consent for school psychological or psychiatric examination, testing, or treating. And this means, excuse me, I'm obviously reading from something. It's not
keep reading
coming.
the bill. I'm sorry.
I'm concentrating so hard.
Okay, and this means that you cannot ask a student how things are at home or if they're thinking about hurting themselves or suggest, asking if someone has been touching them inappropriately without parental consent.
I'm going to say it's not a bill because I could see you keep thinking about the next word you were going to say. So I'm going to say not a bill.
Yeah, lies. It is a bill. It's Senate
Are you
Bill
serious?
595. And I was acting again, Aaron. Again.
That was masterful.
I got because even Amy was like, "Oh, this."
I
is
was
not a
like,
bill, but, like this is not."
Yes. So there is a groundswell of parents who do not want you checking in on the psychological well-being of a child at school unless they say you can. So let's picture, I don't know, daddy molester. Is he going to sign a form that's like, yeah, check in with my child and see how things are going at home?
Yeah. Don't ask them if you lock them in a closet on the weekends or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Can you see that? Do you get locked in the closet, in the basement, in the attic, in the trunk?
Hold on. Let me ask your parents if I can ask you that question first.
No. Come on. Okay. Sophia,
Yes.
last question for you. True or false? This bill is House Bill 1793 by Brian Slayton, our favorite adulterer. And it says that you get a tax break if you have 2 or more children, an additional 10% for up to 5 children. But if you only have 0 children, you are charged $100 more.
I know I could still phone a friend, but I almost want to just like guess.
Okay.
I do want to. Okay, earlier, if I may, just on a tangent, I did intern at for a state senator a long time ago. Nothing happened, but my family all warned me. They're like, don't wear a blue dress. They were very specific on what I should
Don't
not
wear a
do as an
blue
intern.
dress. Okay.
Oh, right.
'Cause
So
that's what did it.
Why
That's what did
blue?
it.
I wear a blue dress
Yeah,
like
what?
3 times a week.
I think that's a Monica
it's a Monica
Lewinsky
Lewinsky reference, but yeah, no, I
Oh.
basically nothing happened. So I don't know what is happening in Texas, but in Michigan, nothing happened with me. So I can say that. Now back to the bill. The taxes. I mean, taxes are so confusing. I can't fathom them, and who knows what part of that could have been manipulated. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna say it's true.
I'm going to give you that because the idea is true. I made up the specifics.
Who the
I
hell?
couldn't remember. No, Brian Slayton introduced this bill. It would give 100% credit for property taxes to married couples with 10 or more children.
10?
10.
God
And this
damn.
is his quote. With this bill, Texas will start saying to couples, get married, stay married, and be fruitful and multiply. And apparently,
Why do you need 10 children?
if you have 4 children, you receive a 40% tax break, and 5 children get 50%, and so on. Yeah.
But I guess if you have 1 kid, you get nothing.
I guess 10%. Yeah. But yeah, can you like
I can use
What?
20% off my taxes. That sounds good.
Do dogs count? Because I'll have 10 doggos, even though that sounds awful too. 3 doggos
It's a
is
lot
a
of poop.
lot.
any minute now, dogs already count more than some people.
Like Brian Sleep.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I think I'm saying it. You know, I think sometimes we humanize pets and we dehumanize people at the same time.
That is true.
But not us. Nobody here. We humanize, and why not humanize? Okay. Aaron, last one for you. HB 900, aka the Book Burning Act, would censor books with any LGBTQ plus themes, characters, or content. HB 900, ACA, the Book Banning Act.
I don't know if you're trying to throw me off because I don't know if that's the bill, but I feel like it is on the. I have one more. Kristen, is that the bill?
Yeah.
It bans sexually explicit material, but it doesn't define what sexually explicit is. So it depends on who is looking at the book. So if you look at the book and the person reviewing the book says, if you reference LGBTQ life, sexually explicit, then yes. But if you look at the book and you say LGBTQ life is not sexually explicit, then no. I think it's a trick question, not gonna lie. I know that's unhelpful. I'm going to
say that there is also an email from Equality Texas that I may also be using to prep this.
No, I would say
So-
go with it.
How about
because
this?
it is.
HB 900, the Book Banning Act, censors books.
True.
Yes.
True.
Okay.
Truth.
True. You got it. And
Yeah.
I want to take a shout out here for a moment. Sophia, somebody is in love with you. Bailey
My friend
Jaden
Bailey.
Martinez.
I
Okay.
love Bailey. Hi,
Okay.
Bailey. I miss
Hi,
you.
Bailey. And then I don't know who KGS is. Pretty sure it's a Russian bot. Dogs can't keep society going, so not as valuable as children or equal in dignity as children.
Wait,
I
Have
don't
what?
you seen Mango? She's
right?
They're not mutually exclusive. I have kids and a dog I love.
Yeah.
We don't have to pit them against each other.
No.
That's
But
what
There's so many kids in
they
my life
want
I
us
love.
to do. Yeah,
I just
Yeah.
we don't have
But
to.
I do want to say we've got watchers on Facebook and YouTube. Hello.
Yay!
All
Thank
we
you for
need is
watching.
Twitch. All we
And
need
for
is Twitch.
commenting.
we got a Russian bot. Yeah. Woo!
Yes,
We
6
do.
viewers, Russian bot. Thank you, KGS. It's supposed to be KGB. That's okay. Amy, how have our contestants done?
Oh, Sophia has beaten Aaron for the trophy.
No!
5-4.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that trophy you get. Who has seen
Congratulations.
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I have not.
Okay,
I'm
never
not
mind.
either.
It's perfection.
Okay. So I'm
It is.
thinking, honestly, I think I was going to get patches made that said most knowledgeable comedian. Is that something y'all would like actually put somewhere?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm having it made. Okay. Bailey, you could do it. Thanks, Bailey.
She believed in me the whole time.
So you could. Congratulations, Sophia. Okay, Amy, what's
Yay.
next? It's probably the same or close enough in the script. It's our special guest, Kristen.
Yes, I think we're going to say here's our special guest, Kristen Ylana.
Yay, Kristen!
In
Kristen,
conversation with Stephanie.
that's right. Longtime fan of Over the Ledge. What's your favorite thing about the show?
Honestly, that it's about the ledge because I laugh about this place all the time, and it's hard to find people that like are as niche as this, and so I feel like my comedy is like boop, right in this line.
Yes.
I feel like I fit in.
You do fit in, and I am so excited to have you here. I want to repeat a joke I made on Facebook that I think you'll get. I said, legislators say that we laid out a bill in committee, but if bills could talk, would they talk about constantly getting laid? I like that. Okay.
Well, they do have to get laid at least 3 times.
Yeah, they get laid a lot in the ledge.
I know. Sometimes more
Yeah.
than me.
You're executive director of the Women's Health Caucus. What's that and why do we need it?
What's the Women's Health Caucus? Well,
Yes.
the Women's Health Caucus is a wonderful group of Texas House representatives who all believe in women's health and advancing women's health policy and making Texas a state that has equitable access to women's health, where people can get the healthcare services that they need, and so on and so forth. And why it's important? Well, I don't know. Have you been in Texas for the last decade? We started, over a decade, honestly, because the first, at least in recent memory, the first big cut to women's health funding was in 2011, where we slashed women's health funding to the point that over half the women's health clinics in Texas closed down, and the saga just continues from there. And so in a state that is incredibly hostile to women's health policy that promotes equitable access to not only reproductive health care, but all health care, we need a group of legislators that are fighting for this and that are going to be on the floor really promoting women's health. So that's why we're important, and that's why we exist. And I'm super proud of being the executive director of that. And Rep. Howard is our chair, and she's amazing. I don't know if you know who Rep. Howard is, but if you don't, you should definitely Google her. She's incredible. She's a champion, and everybody else in our caucus is a champion as well.
She has actually been on our show on the first season, the live show. And we sang, we had a band called the Filibusters. And we sang
I love that.
Song. Yes.
Bring them back.
Remember that. Bring them back. Is this a bipartisan caucus? And are there men in it?
Well, we used to be. There used to be men and Republicans in our caucus. And now there's not. The IT caucus is now the largest bipartisan caucus. No. You know what? One Republican can change that. So
I dare argue there's a man in the Women's Health Caucus because I know
there are men in the Women's Health Caucus.
Okay.
But they're not Republican men. So yes, like we used to be the largest bipartisan caucus in Texas. But all the Republicans retired. So
Sarah Davis was a member.
Yes, and Jim Murphy was a member last session.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, dues paying. But this session, unfortunately, we've not been able to convince any of our Republican counterparts to come on to the Women's Health Caucus, join us in our fight. But we do have men in our caucus. We have a lot of men. There's this wonderful guy from the Valley called Representative Guerra. I don't know if you know him. I've heard he's a great driver.
He's such a good driver.
You want him to drive your car.
Never. No.
And he is a dues-paying member of our caucus. Get him to drive you to the Valley one day. It's going to be an adventure.
Please, yes. No. Let his chief of staff drive you to the Valley, and then he'll show you a very good time.
Great time. Great playlist. Pantera. Always. Just Pantera. From here to the Valley.
That would be so awful. One Metallica song, please. And then Extremes More Than Words, the love ballad about Put Out. I thought it was such a romantic song, but no. Sophia, you were too young, but I'll sing it for you. It goes, more than words is all you have to do to make it real. He's like, I don't need you to say I love you. Put out, woman. And I was like, that is so romantic. All right. And scene. Kristen, I got an email from one of the pro-life organizations because, of course.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. But they supported Tony Rose's bill, House Bill, I can't remember the number, 19? 12 for 12 months of coverage. But I dare say this bill did not pass in the past, and I feel like it is because the pro-life organizations were against it. Why the sudden turn?
Well, something happened last year, and all of a sudden, we don't have access. And I mean, I think beyond Dobbs, I really hope, and I think the more positively inclined part of me thinks that they changed their position because they realize how important it is for people who have just had children to have access to healthcare services for the full year postpartum. It's not lost on us that in this state, we continue to have one of the highest rates of maternal mortality in the country. And that can be greatly decreased if people have access to healthcare services. However, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that their support of this bill all of a sudden comes after Dobbs is overturned and Texas enforces and continues to enforce one of the strictest abortion bans in the country, which forces hundreds and thousands of people to have children against their will and when they're not prepared. And the absolute least we can do for them is ensure that they have access to healthcare services. That's my dog saying I was right.
Yes,
so that is
you were right.
Exactly, Professor.
Will you explain Dobbs for our listeners, please?
Will I explain Dobbs?
30-second version.
Dobbs is in my opinion, one of the worst Supreme Court decisions in recent memory. Is the decision that overturned Roe versus Wade, which for those of you that don't know was the Supreme Court decision that allowed access to abortion services. As my boss likes to say, and I will quote her, but if she's watching, I'm so sorry. I don't know the quote exactly. But, you know, if you don't have access to women's health services, if you don't have access to abortion care, then you can't be a full participant in society. Part of our equal participation in society is ensuring that everybody has a choice as to how we choose to live and if we're ready to have children. And it's a choice that sperm donors will always have and will continue to have, but women will not have. And Dobbs is the reason why we don't have that in Texas. And because of Dobbs, we are now an anti-abortion state. Abortion is illegal in Texas, except in incredibly specific cases. And even then, it's incredibly hard to access. We hear at the Women's Health Caucus, I hear from people all over Texas that go through horrific and absolutely horrifying situations where they wanted their kids and things happen. And sometimes that's not always possible. And you need to access abortion services. But because of the way that our laws are written, they're not able to access those services. And they have to come within the brink of death in order to access services here in Texas, because of our laws and because we refuse to clarify them. And Dobbs is the reason that that is happening right now. I don't know if that answers it, but that's the
Thank you.
shortest way I can describe Dobbs.
Well, and childbirth, I think, is the number one cause of death for women. Is that accurate?
I don't know.
I'm saying it.
I'm just gonna go with you on that. I will
and
say, I mean,
it's dangerous. Childbirth,
bearing
a child, and birth.
Yes, I will say the one thing I do know is that childbirth, especially in Texas, is more dangerous and more lethal than abortion ever was. Abortion was one of the safest procedures you can undergo in Texas. It was, I mean, when you look at by the state's own data, so you can go back to 2008 and look at the Induced Terminations of Pregnancy Report, aka ITOP. You can find it on HHSC's website. And between 2008, when we first started collecting these like ridiculous statistics, to 2021, you had one death in that time due to complications that they said were contributed to abortion. I will say that one death, you can't even say that it was related to their abortion. There were other things involved in that person's life that could have contributed to their death, but because they had an abortion and because of the way that we required the data to be reported, they had to say that it was due to a complication, but that's still up in the air. In that time, I can guarantee you hundreds of women lost their lives due to pregnancy and due to childbirth. So when you talk about what is more dangerous in Texas, when you talk about what is a more dangerous thing to undergo, pregnancy is 100% more dangerous than it is to access abortion services. And yet we outlawed abortion and we continue to force people to have kids.
You said something about the heart-wrenching stories that women and their families bring you about very much wanted pregnancies and then having really difficult outcomes. I remember during, I guess it was 2013, during the filibuster when they were first doing the 20-week ban on abortion, that the Capitol was full. There were people in blue and red, and there were women in both colors sharing horrific stories and holding each other's hands and crying together. And I had this belief that hearing those stories and seeing the humanity of these people would change legislators' minds. And I don't think it did. And just a few days ago during the debate on House Bill 900, Aaron, the book banning book, Representative Aaron Zwiener, who has also been a guest on our show,
Aaron.
Kind of out of the blue, had to share a story about how she had been, trigger warning, sexually assaulted. And she didn't realize she could call it sexual assault until she read a book at school. She was talking about how important it is to have books that talk about difficult topics for children. But here she is revealing this really private, personal, horrific moment she went through. And, the bill still passed. I don't think anybody even blinked an eye about it. And what I'm trying to ask here is, it sounds like not only can we talk about statistics and logic, which seems to be the Democrats' way, we can't even use personal stories to pull at people's heartstrings anymore on some of these policies. This is a really big challenge for you and your caucus. Fix it for me. Go.
Fix what?
How the world. How do we get Republicans into the Women's Health Caucus? How do we really care about women's health? if it's not logic and it's not reason and it's not charts and graphs and it's not my horrific story, what will change legislators' minds?
I mean, I think the thing that, I mean, I cannot, before I answer this question, I have no idea. Because I am just as
Okay, never mind then. Next, I'm joking.
Bye, see you later. No, I mean, I think it's one of those things where I don't know. Thankfully, my name is not on the door. And I don't know what is going to be what does it. I know that at least my boss, she does listen to her constituents, and there have been instances where a constituent will bring something and it results in legislation. But that doesn't seem to work for everybody. And so you're right. Like, even though we spend hours and hours, we have people coming from all over the state, people that can't necessarily afford to take the time off, but still take the time off to come to Austin and tell their story and share their perspective and say why they think that these laws shouldn't go into effect. I think every single contentious law that we have has just as many, if not more, people that come out against the bill, at least this session, than those that come out in favor of it. We know from polling that Texans overwhelmingly support access to abortion services because people whose lives are directly impacted, they know how important these services are. And that's the only thing that I can say that may sway somebody is them having to unfortunately go through this themselves, right? Like, until you have to experience that, and until you are on, you go to an emergency room because you're pregnant and you're going through a miscarriage, or you had an ectopic pregnancy, or whatever the circumstances are, and you're in the emergency room and they turn you away and they send you away with a thermometer and tell you, okay, well, come back when your fever has reached this much. That way we can honestly say that we're abiding by 1280, and we can honestly say that you are on the brink of death. Wait until then. Until that happens to them, or until that happens to somebody that they know, I don't think that it like clicks sometimes that what we put into policy there. I mean, this, we look at laws every day that on paper seem okay, looks like we're making sense, looks like we're being clear. But when we pass it and it goes into law, it makes it to an agency, or it makes it to the people that actually have to implement the law, for them to come back and tell us, like, so, by the way, I know you wrote it this way and you thought that it was going to do this, but in reality, when we actually work on this, this is the impact that it's having. And then we have to be wise enough and courageous enough to come back and say, okay, well, we made a mistake. We were wrong the first time around, but we're going to revise it and we're going to do something about that, right? And so I think it's one of two things. Either somebody has to actually experience that themselves and realize the impacts that the laws have, and in that way live under the laws that are passed, or have the courage to come back and say, okay, maybe the way that we wrote it originally wasn't exactly right, and we need to potentially change that and tweak it so that what we wanted to happen is actually what happens. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a difficult time right now to to do either one of those things, especially when our country and our state are as divided as they are. I don't know what it's going to take for us to realize the horrific impact that some of these laws that we've passed and some of the laws that we're considering have both had and could potentially have. But I hope that we do take a look at them.
This podcast, what I was looking for is Over the Ledge. Listening to Over the Ledge is,
I mean, that too,
the way forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
100%.
Yeah.
sounds like-
Aaron. Oh, go ahead, Amy.
It sounds like Texas Republicans, just women's health and safety is just not a priority, or it's very low based on what you said about the women's health services, and funding for that has been canceled or halved, I guess, in 2011.
I mean, Amy, I didn't say that.
You didn't say that, but it sounds like if we just
you know,
put that pieces of the puzzle together, it doesn't sound like women's health is a
Sophia
priority.
can
I think
put
the
those
pieces
of
that
the
you're putting
puzzle
together
I'm very
might
good at
go
puzzles.
together.
We need
You might have a
Sophia
puzzle
on
there.
this.
Mhm.
I think we have a puzzle. Aaron, what was your question?
Yeah. So what I'm kind of curious about is because I think a lot of it is men specifically, especially men in the legislature, just don't understand what an abortion is and like why sometimes you need them, and like the knee-jerk reaction of, oh, it's just a woman who doesn't want a baby or slept with the wrong guy is usually what their usually knee-jerk reaction is. But a lot of it, what I'm curious about is just like education. So is there bills to try and like force an actual proper sexual health course in high schools? Because like my sexual health course was, hey, just wait until you're married and the moment feels right. Was my sexual education. And if you took a room of 100 men, Texas educated public school men, and asked them what a menstrual cycle is, they could not tell you. And the 15 that might be able to would probably be blushing the entire time. Like it's like something that it's like ingrained in our culture that you just don't, like in Texas specifically, I can say that like you just don't talk about women's health. You just that's something that like, oh, I'm not going to buy your menstrual products. That's no, I'm not going to be seen like it's so ingrained in our culture that
So
like
taboo.
it something that like it sucks to say that like we have to ingrain in our education now and hope for the best in 20 years is like what like, because we can't do it in the forefront. It seems like we can't try and pass a bill here. Like if we try and teach children like, hey, this is what a menstrual cycle is, this is what a uterus is, sometimes there's complications with pregnancy and you need like is that a thing? And I know people have probably talked about it, but like, is that a realistic thing that could happen?
Oh, realistic? No. No.
I mean,
not in this.
I mean, part of the debate about House Bill 900 about books, or maybe it was a different one, Jared Patterson's different book, but it was like schools need to go over the sexual health curriculum 5 times with a chaplain in a back room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing is like in an ideal world, yeah, we would actually teach people about their bodies and do it. And I'm not even saying like, let's teach kindergartners about sex. Like, no, but like at age appropriate times, teaching kids about their bodies, and about like what they're going to go through if they're a child still, or what they're like potentially going to go through, is important, but it's not something that we do. However, I will say I do think that we might be like making some small steps, like little tiny tiptoe steps in that direction. The Senate, the State Board of Education, did, I think it was last year, could have been 21. We were a little bit tied up in 21, so I wasn't keeping track as closely. But recently, they did start making efforts towards doing a more inclusive sex education. And so hopefully some schools will have the option of implementing a more sex-positive sex ed, which is a great step. But, I mean, you're completely right. There are, I've been fortunate to work for a member that has sponsored bills that would increase access to period products. And we talk about menstruation in our office all the time. When you walk into our office, there is a like little, not petri dish, because that sounds wrong. It's like a candy bowl, but instead of candy, we give out tampons and pads. Because we talk about menstruation. It's something that we should talk about. And you're right. I think part of this is the stigma that is related to talking about women's health. Like, we are not comfortable as a society and as a culture and as a people talking about women's health issues, and actually like discussing that in a like very real way. And I think it's like incredibly present in just the jokes that we grew up with, right? Like we will joke about men's like sexual organs all day long. and it's funny and it's accepted and nobody blinks an eye when it's said. But the moment you talk about like women's reproductive organs, it's like, oh no. Like, we don't talk about that. Like, that's rude. Like, you're not supposed to do that. And it's just like, part of it is as a culture, like just ending the stigma around like women's health, like issues and what we go through monthly. And then also, talking about sex in a free way and recognizing that it's like a normal thing. It's normal. Like, it is a normal thing to have a period. It's like a normal thing to have sex.
I'm
But
sorry.
It's a normal thing to have an abortion. Like, that is normal. It is not abnormal to do those things.
I have not touched a man in 5 years. What is sex?
So you're gonna go online.
Okay, but not at
Type it in.
school. Not at school.
There are no books available anymore.
Okay, this
No.
is kind of the open Q&A. Sophia or Amy, do you want to ask Kristen anything?
Oh,
And I was also thinking, Kristen, like, great points about all those things. What else is the Women Health Caucus working on? You talked about menstrual products, both like for free, available in schools, available in private or public buildings, prisons, talking about things, sex ed, time
What
off.
else?
Yeah, what else are y'all's priorities? And I have to say, you were bringing all the junk to the yard. What do we bring to the yard, Kristen?
I
Because
don't know.
Bailey is here. Alma Ali Cruz Gonzalez is here. I think she's both on Facebook and on YouTube. Yeah. And Sophia, your fans must be here also. They're quiet because I only have 2 fans, Lucinda and my mom and dad. And someone is watching us on Twitch. I don't know who, but thank you. I hope it's Toby Regbo. Okay, go ahead, Kristen.
So other things that our caucus focuses on, we are very much grounded in reproductive health and, women's health services in particular, but we also bring in everything that impacts your ability to access women's health services, right? So we look at whether or not you can make a living wage so that you can afford women's health care either on your own or through your employer. We are big supporters of paid leave policies and, maternity leave policies so that you can take time off of work and still be paid for it. So that way you can access the healthcare services that are necessary to you. We have added in a priority related to higher education and just supporting education in general, because we know that if you have access to education, if you have access to more people and more knowledge and things, you might, be able to access women's healthcare. I know for me, like, I really began my journey in terms of like women's healthcare when I went to college, because I went to UT and there is this great university health services. And I went to my first OBGYN when I was at UT. And that was the first time that I accessed healthcare services. And so making sure that people have access really to the things that they need in their life as a whole, and taking a really holistic look at what it means to access healthcare services and the barriers that can potentially get in your way of being able to do that and being able to live a healthy life, are all things that we look at in the caucus. We look at, what it means to be an incarcerated woman. Do you have access to healthcare when you're incarcerated or when you're going through the criminal justice system? And then even this session, there have been multiple efforts to look at how do we make sure that people upon reentry have access to healthcare services and are able to leave TDCJ or TJJD and then immediately go into being able to access services either through Medicaid, CHIP, Healthy Texas Women, and the myriad of services that we offer there. Menstrual equity is something that we really talk about a lot in our caucus. Vaccinations, knowing that it takes a lot to be a healthy person, and vaccines are incredibly important to that. HPV vaccines in particular, because they prevent cervical cancer. We really do a whole gambit of things. And I think part of it is just because when Representative Howard took over as caucus chair, she really, in classic DH nature, tried to look at like, okay, what does this look like as a whole, right? And so what are the different ways and the different things that either are a barrier or that increase access. And then how can we, as policymakers, really make sure that we are doing things that are positive and that help somebody get care and help somebody like be able to live a healthy lifestyle. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of what we do.
Makes a
I'm
lot
going
of
to
sense.
pretend that we also have people on the Incel network. Why don't we have a men's health caucus, Kristen?
Oh.
A men's health caucus? What the fuck? Because the
All right, I'm
entire
stopped. That's
healthcare
it.
system.
Stop.
I will say,
Stop.
like, I was.
I
Yeah,
made that one
I mean,
up
that's why.
because I'm an actor.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think because at the, women face and people that identify as women and that have uteruses or that are transitioning to being women, we face particular healthcare challenges and have unique healthcare needs. But then also, like, our entire fucking healthcare system was created by and for men. And when this first idea of what does healthcare in general mean was created with men in mind, it was not created with us in mind, and therefore our needs and what we might need to access and the things that need to be covered were not considered. And it's apparently a new concept for us to want to fund those things. I just broke
Just
a
like
wine
the
glass.
clitoris. It's a new
Exactly.
concept. Any final questions from the comedians for yes?
I have a
Amy?
question. Okay.
Okay.
So I know that there's a surplus, right? They haven't spent it yet.
No, they're allocating
No.
it, but we have
Okay.
not finalized
So-
our spending yet.
And then that's a two-part question.
Okay.
I'll bring it together. And then I also know that when Greg Abbott decided to restrict abortion, he said, "Don't worry, I'm going to end rape," right? Because everybody was worried.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's done it yet, but I'm assuming that all those rape kits that have not been tested because there's not enough money, that they're going to take a little bit of that surplus. And that's probably at the top of the list, that they're going to fund all those rape kits. So maybe we can get some of those rapists away, because obviously some people who want abortions, they didn't have a chance to make a choice about when and how, what they were, and who they were going to have sex with. So has that already happened?
Is that even in
So,
the budget,
two-part.
Kristen?
What?
Is that even in the budget? I have not even looked for that.
I think it must
So
be,
it
because Greg
is.
Abbott said that he
Okay.
was going to
And
end
if
rape.
gonna
there's
stop
a
the
man
rapings.
of his
He was going to
word,
stop it. Yeah, just
Oh yeah, he does
Yeah.
everything. Now I will say, so that is a two-part. First on
Okay.
the surplus, though I know, we came into this session with this idea that we had, not an idea, but the comptroller did say that there is a $32 billion surplus in the state treasury.
mhm.
Which at the beginning of session was like, "Ooh, wow, we got so much money. Look at us. We're just gonna be like Kim Kardashian this session." But then this little pesky piece of paper called the Constitution came and got in our way, and it said, "No, you cannot actually do that." So even though we have a $32 billion surplus, we cannot spend all $32 billion because there is a spending cap and there is a spending limit. And in order for us to have access to all $32 billion of that, we would have had to take a vote in both the House and in the Senate. That would have been a 2/3 vote in both chambers to bust the spending limit, aka go above what we are constitutionally allowed to spend. Surprise, we did not do that as a state. No! We did not take the vote to spend more money. And because of that, we cannot spend the full $32 billion. It will continue to live in the state treasury. And in some ways that does, it makes sense in certain, depending on how you look at it, it does make sense for us to have done that. We did spend, even though we have the spending cap, we were able to spend. And I apologize if Rip Howard is listening or if Eugenie is listening, because they both are the budget people. But I think we have spent $17 billion in new dollars, right? And so we did invest significant amounts of money in new spending for new programs, not new programs, but for existing programs to fill in some gaps and some budget holes where we hadn't done it. And so just because we did not take a vote to bust the spending cap does not mean that we are not taking full advantage of the money that we have, because we are. And I think that both the House and the Senate have made a commitment to taking full advantage of the money that we are constitutionally allowed to spend. That being said, there is money in the budget to address some of the rape kit challenges. There is also additional spending in the budget. There are 2 accounts that are important to survivors of sexual assault and sexual violence in Texas, and that is account 5010 and 469. Both of those have seen significant increases. We're also looking at different pieces of legislation that would find more stable sources of funding for those accounts, because currently those accounts are funded through the court system. And because of COVID and because of like the things that have come from that, we have seen that what used to be a semi-stable funding stream for that is no longer really stable, because we're moving away from some of the more in-person things. We're not prosecuting. And as a state, we're taking a different approach to criminal justice. We're hopefully looking at more ways to keep people closer to home, looking at, community diversions and things like that, community interventions. So we're looking as a body and as a whole at how can we have a more stable funding stream for these 2 services so that crime victims and survivors of sexual violence can continue to access the services that they need. I'm not going to lie. I have not looked at the most recent numbers in terms of where our backlog looks at, but the last time I looked, which is a little over 6 months ago, we still had a slight backlog, and so we're still chipping away at that. But thankfully, a couple of sessions ago, the wonderful Don Howard created the Sexual Assault Survivors Task Force, which is the first task force in the country that centers survivors and that looks specifically at how we can better assist sexual assault survivors. And as a result of them, we are now leading the nation in terms of our response to sexual violence in Texas. And so in terms of sexual violence and in terms of how we are looking at that from a policy perspective, we have a lot to be proud of in Texas, and we have a lot to really champion here. And we're really providing, hopefully, the nation with a framework for how we're going to continue to do that. They have an additional, I think, 12 recommendations that are making their way through the legislature, and we're hoping will pass. And we'll continue to do that good work. And they are looking at how to continue to address the backlog. And so I can't give you a for sure answer on how many kits are still backlogged right now, but I do know that we are making significant progress and that there is money in the budget for it. Really looking at what we can do to make sure that those things are fully funded. So even though Greg Abbott has not eliminated rape in 2020, we had the highest number of assaults related to rape in the country in Texas. And so sexual assault and sexual violence is still an incredibly prevalent and serious problem here in the state. We are doing everything we can at the legislative level to address it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. That was a great answer.
I feel like I sent you something earlier this session, Kristen.
No, you did. You 100% did.
But they're not calling them like rape kits. They're like,
yeah.
I don't remember. Okay, Amy, get us out of here. We've gone long. We had the most viewers ever on the most platforms ever, and even a thumbs up on Facebook. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much to our special guests, Sophia Spagnuolo and Kristen Ylana. And Sophia, where will we be seeing you next? Are you going to be performing anywhere?
Well, right now I'm focusing on my YouTube channel, which I have the jigsaw puzzle hauls. So I have a new video coming out this weekend. So be sure to check me on YouTube. It's
what is it called?
Sophia Zeta. So Sophia Sophia, and then Zeta Zada. So that's where you can find me. New videos each week.
Awesome. And thank you to our sidekick comedian, Aaron Salinas. Aaron, where will we see you next?
Yeah, I'm in the Hideout's Selena sing-along during the entire every Saturday of May and the first Saturday of June. You can catch that going on. I believe tickets should be going up sometime next week. And I believe it's the 7:00 show. But yeah, it's a Selena sing-along. Not a retelling of her life, but just inspiration by her, and it'll be karaoke style with screens and lyrics, so it'll be fun.
Awesome.
I'll be
And
there.
thank you to our Over the Ledge benevolent Empress, Stephanie Chiarello. Great games and monologue and on the fly.
Thank you.
Show.
Thank you to Amy Lowry for guiding us through this episode.
And that's our show. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get yours. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok as @OverTheLedge, LEGE. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, y'all,
Thanks,
so much.
y'all.
That was a great episode. Our
This was
best
wonderful.
attended. I'm so excited.
This was a super
Thank
good one.
y'all. This was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Kristen.
thank you.
No.
Congratulations on your win, Sophia.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
It was a
I
very
figured it was about time, somebody else win,